Lord have Moses. People, this is take 2. Because somebody forgot to put on her camera.
Wasn't me.
Does anybody want to fess up?
Doesn't look like it.
Ridiculous. How are we feeling today? Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
From the assassin cat.
Assassin cat.
Still.
The one-eyed assassin cat.
He only has one eye?
Only one eye.
No.
Just comes up at you. Hey, lady. How you doing, man? I'm so soft. I'm going to kill you. So what are we talking about?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
It is summertime. The children are home, hanging out with us. And so, I forget where I was going with that.
We have to do the whole intro and everything.
Oh, shit balls. That's true, too. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Unlikely Podcasters Tic Tacs. My friends, I'm Sunshine.
I'm Susanna.
I'm Tara.
Oh,
You like it, you know. Hey, how you doing, girl? Where you stay at?
If you ever spoke to me that way, I'm pretty sure I would just laugh in your face.
Yeah, I'll just roll over and say, hey, girl. You know I miss you. You like those songs like Boys to Men?
I do, Boys to Men, yeah.
Girl, don't you know I love you?
I love me some Boys to Men, man.
He talks for like 45 minutes. I'm like, shut up.
It's nice.
No, it's not. And it's dumb.
He's got a nice...
I want to be your friend.
deep
I want to be a
voice.
lover. I want to be a husband. I want to be chill. I'm like,
That's
shh.
not how it talks. That's
Yeah,
not how
I don't know. He
talks.
goes on and on. It's like, just, I want to be children. It's like, just sing the song
Some
and
of her
shut your
voice meant
face.
to, like, maybe a little Elvis in there. I don't know what you got going on over there.
Exactly. All right, Susanna. Tell me your deepest, darkest thoughts about having children.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Let me start. I have always wanted to have children, multiple children, and I wanted to be married to a man. I wanted to have 4 children, white picket fence, stay-at-home mom, 2 dogs, maybe a cat, whatevs. I wanted the
Parakeet?
whole... No parakeets or lizards or hamsters. What about you?
I thought, like, in the back of my mind, like, that was, like, the plan. It wasn't like I had names picked out for my kids or anything. I'm like, oh, yeah, I want this, and it's got to be like this. And it was just one of those things that it was, like, the expectation.
Yeah. People normally, that's what
This
you
is what
do.
everybody does, so probably at some point, this is what I'm going to end up doing. In my first marriage, we got pregnant because that was the progression of the relationship. And I ended up losing the baby.
Aww.
I sort of like swept it under the rug, never dealt with it because I never talked about it again. I never had the desire again. It was just boom. And then, I got divorced later and it just didn't. And things just came out while I was pregnant that I'm like, well, we should have had more conversations around having a kid before we decided to have a kid because some stuff came out. He was from Morocco. And then in some of our discussions, we're like, well, I want him to learn the language. I want him to maybe go live in Morocco, with my mom. And I'm like, what? Like, he's not going, she's not going anywhere without me.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of. And so there was a disconnect there that we really hadn't had that mature conversation regarding, but we just went in for it.
Right. And what about you? Did you ever want children? Not even when you were little, like
like she said, it's. I think I was junior high school, and it was like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it was like, I don't even know what it was, but I was like, I'm gonna get married, have 2 kids, but it's not like I've had this yearning, like, oh, I want kids. It was just like that's what everybody did. So once I was old enough to understand, I did not want to have kids.
But then I broke you finally.
You did.
I broke you down.
You did. Broke me down.
There was waterlogging. Tied her up.
I was tied up and I couldn't hear or see anything.
She had to watch all these videos about kids.
This big circle kept spinning. I had to watch it.
And so finally I broke you and you decided
that I would allow one.
Oh, she would allow.
I would allow one. I gave her permission to have one.
Oh, Lord Moses.
And that was the deal. One.
But
and
this was a tipping point for your relationship because up to
at
that
some point, yes, because we
were
never intended on staying together. She was going to get 45 degrees and move away. But she never moved away. She just was always there at the house.
Well, because the whole reason I was moving away is because I knew I couldn't be in the same city as you and us not be together.
Right.
We had never been with women before each other, and that just kind of happened.
So we figured we were just going through some weird phase, and that we would phase out of it.
Right.
We just never phased out of it.
We never did. Yeah.
Still waiting.
Somewhere.
Because you love me.
Yes. You're okay as far as wives go.
So
there was just a point where it was like because you didn't get pregnant. You were 30. You were 29, 30, 33. So she was no spring chicken in the egg department.
I did. So as far as ages go, actually, yeah, I thought that at some point I got stuck in my head that I wanted to have a child by 33 or be pregnant or have a child by 33. And so we had been trying, and fortunate for us, we did go through a doctor and get inseminated and all of that, but it took the first time.
Yes.
Even though I was a very large woman, 300 and some pounds. And, that comes with its own challenges, but I did get pregnant. I had a healthy pregnancy, but it was
not a fun pregnancy.
I was happy that I was able to experience it, but it was not enjoyable at all. I was nauseous from beginning to end, and it felt like I didn't have any control over myself anymore. Something else, Asher, was taking over.
Puppet master.
And he was making all the decisions, like the stuff that I ate. It was not the normal stuff that I ate. And I did not feel good the entire time. Was yours a walk in the park?
A walk on the
wild
dark side?
Dark side, yes, very much so. It was a walk on the weepy, emotional roller coaster that I didn't even experience. So
did you experience it the first time?
Not the first time, no. And I made it 20 weeks. It's my first pregnancy. It is. I think I got
how old
nauseous.
Were you the second
there was a lot of peeing. My second time I was 40.
Oh, okay.
40. Yeah, I think she was born when I was 41. 42. So I was 41 when I got pregnant. But no, mine was just very emotional. Physically, I was okay. Sometimes I was tired. Towards the end, I couldn't really sleep at all. I ended up sleeping on a chair in the living room. And that's the only way I could get in a comfortable position. No amount of pillows, wedging. I had a body pillow. I had what Mark called the wall of Jericho in between. Because I'm like, I'm hot. Don't touch me. Because, sometimes they say there's like people like you don't like necessarily while you're pregnant. And apparently for me,
I was going to say, I didn't like you.
You didn't like Susanna while you were pregnant?
No,
I
she didn't.
That.
I got on her nerves.
Yeah, like very easily. And I was so aggravated with her all the time.
I don't know if I did know that or I just don't remember.
I'm pretty sure you did because I couldn't hold it in. I was pregnant and
I didn't find out until
you were pregnant. You were saying something about Mark, I think. And
Mark was
it was before.
Yeah.
It was before, and I said, yeah, you were my aggravated person. And then Mark became yours.
It wasn't all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not a switch, but the emotions were what drove me crazy.
I even if I wanted to, I physically couldn't go through it. Do you remember there was a time where I was doing something and Asher wasn't moving?
We moved
from house to house.
And we did a lot of painting. So we were doing a lot of work.
Physical
labor. And I remember you were sitting on the stairs and you're like, I haven't felt him move.
Yeah.
And however long. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. And I was freaking out. Like, it wasn't like horrible, like whatever, but I was just worried. You had said in that moment, do you remember?
I don't know.
Because I said, I can't do this again. If we end up losing this baby, I cannot do this again. Physically can't do it. And you said, if we have to, I will carry. Turns out you could never.
I would not have been able. I don't think I would have been able to, given my inside problem.
Yeah.
It was
a
car wreck in there, but yeah.
Yes.
At that point, I don't know, because people do have pregnancies with endometriosis.
Yeah.
And while you're pregnant, you have no symptoms of endometriosis. Oh. So I don't know how messed up it was at that point
to not be able to get.
So I don't know, but I told her I would give it a shot.
My dreams would have been shattered way long ago.
Yeah.
Even if it was with or without you, there's no way I could have 4 kids. But once Asher came out,
Mm-hmm.
my parenting lack thereof
No,
was not quite
listen,
exactly what you thought it was going
it
to be.
was not. I thought that Sunshine was going to be the more
Doting.
doting and patient, like, similar to how you are.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
You are very patient,
You
and
are.
like Asher is a smart child, and he has a smart mouth that goes along with it. And
know where he
sometimes
gets it
he
from.
speaks a certain way that is older than he should speak.
Mhm.
So it kind of comes across as jarring when you hear this child speak to you that way. My reaction is to, who are you exactly are you talking to like that? And it makes me a little angry. And you're like, okay, well, and you speak to him
Yeah.
in a very calm manner that I don't have, which I was very aware of about myself, which is why part of the reason why I did not want to have children. I don't have the patience. I don't like to play like that I can do it for a little bit and then I'm done and I'm out. So I was aware of that and I didn't want to. So I thought because she wanted multiples of them and she really wanted them, that she would kind of take over that where I was lacking. She would
Fill in those gaps.
fill that in. It just so happened we were similar than I had expected. And she did not.
I did not know I was. I mean, in general, I guess I'm an impatient person. Like if I want something, I want it now.
Yeah.
I thought I would be more patient with Asher, and I get frustrated with myself when I'm not. To somewhat of a degree, I wish I was more patient like you.
Yeah.
However, not as patient as you.
Yes. I think
You're
there's an
very-
in-between
yeah,
where
yeah.
you are and where,
Yes.
we
where
would
I am,
like to be. Yeah.
I don't know what I thought. I don't think I was going to be like that. I thought I would be more than I am, but I don't think I was going to be like you are. Are you like you thought you were going to be?
Don't know. I think I'm not as consistent as I think I should be. But I knew the patience and like having experienced that, like with my siblings, because there were
12.
12 of us. There were not 12 of us.
She was like,
I'm
yeah,
looking
no,
at it.
right?
Well, that's because my grandmother had 11. Okay, knock it off. There's 8 of us. So, and then for 2 of them, I helped raise. I also became their guardian. They lived with me, and I had that kind of relationship with them. So, no, I think I've always been this way. Like, think about it. No, I have been.
Well, and my sisters are considerably younger than me. So I was around for all the baby parts. First when I was 12 and then when I was 20. So I saw all that entailed. And it didn't look really fun to me.
It was not fun. But I always had the patience, even with dealing with just kids in general. I just have that. I think I always have.
I think I had more patience then when I was younger than I do now.
Yeah.
Because now I'm 50.
Yeah.
And 50 something. And I want it. This is what's going to happen. This is what I want. And I don't want to hear any bullshit about it. And Asher likes to give you some bullshit about it. So.
And plus, we struggled a bit when he was a baby with his sleeping.
Lack of sleeping.
Yeah, that bitch would not sleep.
Every 4 hours he was awake. Every 4 hours.
Until
for an
he was
entire year.
Until we forced it.
Yeah.
But we finally did do the
Which
sleep
is
training.
Yeah, which was the cry it out method, which I
Yes.
was not a fan of. And
No, me either.
I didn't even know that she was doing it because I don't think I would have let it happen.
It was very hard. I cried myself to sleep. And then I finally, at some point, I turned the monitor down very low and I was crying and somewhere I fell asleep. Woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my God, is he still alive? Is he still in there? What's happening? And then I turned it on and he was sleeping. But it only took
it was
one
like
night.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of mad we didn't do it sooner, really. But
In
it was-
hindsight, but
in hindsight, yeah. But
But it's not like you didn't.
But plus he was
try other things.
we did. We tried all the things except for that because that
Yeah.
just felt mean.
and he was a year. So I don't know that if he
Could have
was
been-
younger, like if
if
he
it
was
would've
3
worked.
months
It
old,
would've
I would
worked.
just let him cry in there. I probably would not have.
I know you guys really struggled with that. We did not. Darcy was a very good baby.
Mm-hmm.
She slept 4 months in.
Yeah, a few months in, yeah.
A few months in, she was mostly sleeping through the night. Sometimes I only had to wake her up once. And then she would sleep till 8:30. I was like in heaven. I'm like, yes, this is my daughter. Thankfully. So no, she was fine. So I can't compare to that except for the initial
Yeah.
when you had to feed them every 2 or 3 or
Yeah.
whatever. That
Yeah.
yes, that's the sleep
And then it was,
deprivation everybody
he would
gets.
be snoring, holding him in the chair. The minute he touched the bed, he's right back awake. And I was like, oh, God.
Plus he had
He had
not
a lot of
colic,
things.
he had heartburn.
Yes.
He had
And you guys
GERD.
eventually, yes. So
Yes,
there were
he
other
had
things that
that.
impacted his ability to sleep.
I don't know how I ever lived sleeping like that. Because I'm not good without sleep. And I felt like, I can remember, because we would switch off on the weekends. And he would get up, and he's in the little bouncer. I'm bouncing him. I'm like, I mean, I can barely stay awake. Bouncing him in the bouncer.
You guys are very 50-50. You know, as much as you can
Yeah.
be. And you play to your strengths. But you guys really decided, and it was maybe as a result of you guys couldn't get enough sleep, but you guys did take that time on the weekend and say, okay,
Here's your night.
here's your day. You can sleep in. I will get up with the baby. And then the next day was the other person's turn. And Mark and I did that too. I was like, oh yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah. In general, you and I are pretty hard on Asher.
I would say we're tougher.
We're
about
tough,
certain
yeah.
things, yeah. But I think that Asher kind of needs
it.
yeah, because otherwise I think he would, God knows what he would say.
In general, when I speak to children, like when you speak to a child, especially when they're younger, you speak to them, you're like on their level-ish. Is that what I'm trying to say? But when it doesn't matter how old you are, except for when you're a baby.
Yeah.
When you're a baby, I'm like, oh, baby, cute little baby. But once you can talk.
Poor baby. Baby's like, oh my God.
And I like to kiss them and squeeze them, and they're so cute. And
Call
smell
them
them.
George.
That's
Is that
right.
what you're doing?
But children in general, I'll speak to them like I'm speaking to you.
Yeah.
And, you know,
People are taken aback by the way we speak. Yes.
Which is part of why he speaks the way he speaks.
100%. That's yes.
Yes.
Fully aware. And so he's old enough now where we can say, look, I understand that that's how we speak, but you are a child. You cannot speak that way to adults. He's slowly grasping that because he'll say, did I just say that? And I'll say, yes, you should have said it. Just like he made the comment. Well, I'm not going to repeat the comment that he said last night, but I'm like, that's not the way you would say that.
Right.
That comes across wrong. You would say it like this. And he's like, okay. Because he's also much like you, he's very blunt. He's very analytical.
Yes,
It's like facts are facts.
they are.
And if there's a fact, why would you be offended by that? Why would you take that wrong? It's just the truth.
yeah.
He doesn't understand that you can say the truth, but in a nicer, softer manner.
He's learning.
Yes, he
Yes.
is. Yeah, he's really good about that.
Yeah.
He's really good about taking that view. Sometimes he'll,
In the moment, he's like, "Rrr," but
Yeah.
in a minute, he's like, okay. He's got to process it.
and so then the fact that he asks, like, even if it's unprompted, and
Sometimes,
he'll
yeah.
just say, oh, wait, did I say that mean?
Yeah.
Did that sound mean? I didn't mean it to be mean. And I said, no, it was fine. He's like, oh, okay, good. Phew.
He realizes now that that's something that he does and that he needs to work on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it does throw sometimes people
Oh yeah.
for a curve.
Yeah.
Where I am always very aware that he's a kid.
Yeah.
That I don't have to take everything that comes out of his mouth personally, or that he's a kid and he's learning to be a person.
Right.
So when I engage with him, even if something does come out, we're like, well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I think it does tend to throw some people,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit of a curve, and they don't know. And then they want to engage on a level, and it's like, well, see, you're 50 and he's 10, and I don't think you should be engaging in that
Yeah.
in the same manner, because you're not the same.
Sometimes I have to remind myself of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the way that our parents' generation, the
Yeah.
boomers, it's more of you do what I say. No questions asked. At least that's how it was in my household from both my parents. You
And
get
that was-
no say in this situation whatsoever.
That wasn't exactly how it was in my house. I mean, it's not like I was just free to do whatever, but it wasn't like that. I did have some leeway.
I had no,
You had no leeway.
I,
But I don't like the leeway with Asher. I'm like, look, I just told you to do that. I want you to do it. And I don't want to hear, whatever you're going to tell me about why you can't, or in a minute, or I'm playing something. Because it's always, hey, can you do that? And then sometimes it's just no response.
I think that's my issue.
Yeah.
I don't need an immediate, I don't need you to jump hips, whatever.
No dropping.
I don't need you to blah, 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 blah.
No
Hop, skip, dab,
hopscotching,
deep dive.
jump roping.
Yes. Hopscotch,
Miss Mary
whatever.
Mac.
You don't need him to jump up and do it right then.
I do not. But I
Right.
do need you to acknowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do need you to say, hey, I'm in the, it's fine if you're in the middle of something.
Right.
I'm okay with you being in the middle, but tell me.
Just say something. Yeah.
Say something. But if you're just going to
Acknowledge.
ignore me
Yeah.
and, repeatedly, we're going to have
Yeah.
a different conversation. And by that
Yeah.
point, I'm probably angry. Just for the viewers, I have Darcy, you have Ashley. That's it.
That's it. We
That's
only
it.
have one child each.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's also a completely different dynamic as a
Yep.
parent.
Yeah.
If there were more, well, first of all, I don't know if I'd be sitting here. I'd probably be crazy by now. But I think you encounter different things with an only child because they are so dependent on you.
Yes.
You are the playmate. You are the person they engage with all the time. And they also, I think, grow up because they're around adults
Yes.
all
Yes.
the time,
Yes.
not with other kids. Even
Right.
though
So
you
you
do play
tend to
dates
pick
and
up
you go to
that
school.
you're having.
Yes.
I'm listening. That's how when I was younger, I was listening to adult conversations, and then I would partake like I was an adult in an adult conversation.
Yeah.
And sometimes people would think that that's funny, and other times they're like, "What is this girl saying?"
Yeah. But all that to say is, even when I grew up, children were
Seen and not
seen
heard.
and not heard. And so I wanted to make sure that Asher could say stuff, but there are times when he says stuff and I want to choke him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, what did you just say to me?
Yeah.
And so I wrestle with it in my head. I want him to be able to tell me things that I knew that there was no way that I could say. But at the same time, we're still the parent.
Yeah.
And I still need you to do what I'm telling you to do.
And it's sometimes not what he is saying; it's how he is saying it.
Yeah.
And I said, you could have just simply said, "Hey, I don't understand. Can you explain it to me?" Instead, it's a whole attitude.
Yeah.
And then I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Or when they think they're joking.
Yes.
Oh, he
But it
thinks
doesn't
it's
come
hilarious.
across as a joke.
Yes. And
Or-
I
'cause
told
it's-
him that.
Yeah. In
I'm
the
like, "You are not
context, I'm
funny."
like, that is not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darcy does that too. She thinks she's being funny, and then I have to, and then I sort of pick up on it. I think before Mark does, and I'm like, she's kidding,
Yeah.
and then we have to sort of like
Yes.
backtrack
Step-
a little
yeah.
bit,
Okay.
step back so that we're not yelling because she thought she was being
She
funny.
was just joking. Yeah.
But the delivery, there was no humor in it, so
No.
we're just like, what?
I'm like, "Hey, can you do what?" "No, I ain't doing it." And I said, "What did you say?"
Yeah.
I'm like, that would not be a good joke from now
Yeah.
on, just so you know.
Yeah. Or if you're going to say, immediately say, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Not just sit there and wait and see what response you get.
There's been times where he'll say something and I look at him and he goes, "It was just a joke. Mama, it was just a joke."
But then it's funny because sometimes she can be, and Asher too, they'll say the shit that comes out of their mouth and it's not even bad. It's like, it's hilarious.
Yes.
They do have a sense of humor.
Yes.
They're picking up slowly on sarcasm and those kinds of things. And so when they do deliver it, you're like, oh, that was funny. That was
Yeah,
good.
that
But
was
then,
good, yeah.
but when they don't, you're just
Yeah.
like,
What did you just say?
excuse me?
We about to wrestle.
And so some people, because we all curse
We all do.
in
Yes.
front of our children.
Yep.
So the way that I was raised with my father and my OG stepmom, they never cursed, ever. Not even damn. I just don't remember it at all until I was an adult. Now they curse.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but my biological mother, she cursed like a sailor. I did not start cursing until I was 18-ish.
Wow, you waited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I waited a very long time.
And even she would show me her diary. So she would write, "I went so and so," right? It's all regular writing. And then she said, and she would write some shit, and shit would be super, super tiny. She would write the word super small. And I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't know. But I never cursed. I guess in my head I did, because if it was in my diary, but when I hung out with my friends, it wasn't a thing. My friends cursed. I just never cursed. And so people, like when I go to work, after I had Asher, I would go to work and I would say, and they're like, you talk that way in front of your kid? I was like, I sure as hell do.
Yep.
And they're like, whoa, he's going to walk around and he's going to start cursing at you. And I'm like, no, just like I drink alcohol. I don't give a glass of wine to my kid. You teach them right from wrong. So none of our children, none, the 2 we have, neither of them curse.
My whole family cursed. Everything except the F word was said in my house. I started cursing. I was probably around 13. That's when I started. But I never cursed in front of my mother. I never cursed in front of anybody in my family. Not even my cousins. Not even my sisters. Mm-hmm. So they see me, where they see me curse is here.
Oh, your mother would have a field day.
I don't think that I could do this podcast if my mother was alive.
Or you could, but you wouldn't curse.
I wouldn't be able to tell certain stories.
Oh,
it would be a completely different podcast for me if she were alive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My mom, she would curse in Spanish. Mm-hmm. But again, it was only when she was angry. It wasn't like commonplace like we do it. I know I cussed out my sister when I was like 10. And I got my mouth washed out with soap.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't do that in front of my mother. And I still rarely, if ever, unless I'm caught off guard, do I swear in front of my mother. So in that respect, I'm like you. It just turns off. It's not even, not even conscious. It just doesn't come on.
Yeah.
The only couple of times I've done it is like I've been in traffic and I've been distracted and I'm cussing and then I'm like, oh shit, my mom's in the car. Mm-hmm. But it's out. Yeah. My brothers do. So when they first started doing it, my younger brothers, I was like, you're cursing in front of mom. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, my sisters did full on from when the minute they were allowed, she kind of let it happen. Mm-hmm. They did everything. And she would say to me, go ahead, Tara, you can say it. I'm like, no, I can't.
No,
I
you
cannot
can't.
say it in front of you.
You just turn it off.
So being a parent, it also comes with that I never realized the guilt.
Oh.
I feel guilt a lot.
For so many things.
For so many things, yeah. So that patience thing, I feel really bad that I'm not more patient. And so I feel bad. I actively try to do better. And lucky for us, when you lose patience, I have patience. When I lose my patience, you have. So it's very rare that we are both in the height of the impatience-ness at the same time. Like we can balance each other.
He'll be doing something. I'm like, dude, your mother's she's gonna freak out for your stuff. And then she'll be, you better leave me alone because she's in a bad mood. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. And so, but the guilt, that shit is real. It's been since the day that bitch was born to today. Yeah, I know. The guilt is there.
I was not prepared for the guilt.
No. Mm-mm.
For anything. Even just taking time for myself, there's guilt. Mm-hmm. This is like, why am I not spending time with her? Why am I not? And it's not healthy. Let's be realistic.
Right.
It really isn't. You should take time for yourself because it does allow you to decompress.
Right.
And then come back around and be more patient and be a better parent. But the guilt, the trips, and it was easier when she was younger because I was kind of out of sight, out of mind. Because I had to travel a lot for work. And Mark for the first 10, Mark was a stay-at-home dad.
10, I'd say 10.
Yeah. So Mark stayed at home with her, so
10 or 11 years, not months.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it wasn't just a couple months.
I was going to say, for most of her life, Mark stayed at home. And that was the decision, we made.
Yeah. Right.
And I just made enough money. It was not and I said, well,
better her should be with a parent than
than
preschool or daycare or whatever that is. Yeah.
Especially with as much as I travel. He would have still had to have done all of those things.
Yeah. Right.
Go to work, drop her off. He would have had to do all of that alone. So why not just, because we could. So we did.
So you're fortunate enough to have enough money. So then it worked out well for you.
It made sense for us.
Right.
But so the traveling, the first night I had to travel, that was rough. And then it was funny because the coworker's like, so we're going to go out, we're going to do something. And I'm just like, people, I haven't slept in months. I'm going to go to my room and I will see you tomorrow morning because it's going to be the first night that I could sleep. And it was also nice to have a dinner without a child attached to me.
Yeah.
Right. Because because I worked, so the minute I got home, it was mommy, mommy, mommy.
She was attached. Yeah.
Yeah. So those were some challenges there. And it was just like, Daddy was like, I have chopped liver now that you're home. I'm like, well, that's just kind of the dynamic, right? That's how it is. But then, as she got older, that she could vocalize.
Right.
Yeah.
She remembered.
That I wasn't there, right? Because up until maybe after 3 years of age.
I would say 5 or 6.
But even like after 3, if she could vocalize more and say, hey, and then the guilt really starts coming in because now you really can communicate. You're not just operating on guesswork. Like,
Now you know.
She's telling you. Yes.
Yeah.
I miss you, Mommy.
You're abandoning her.
I'm crying. I don't care about Daddy anymore. Those trips got more difficult the older she got because she could vocalize those things.
And luckily for us, you worked from home from the start of Asher being, but my mother was there.
Yes.
And
He adored her.
yes. So even if we were gone, he could care.
He didn't
less.
care,
He's like,
yeah.
oh, Meep's here. Okay, see ya.
Yeah.
And so when we traveled, I didn't have that
Yeah.
guilt because she was there. And as long as Meep was there,
The world was right.
he was eating candy and getting, 3 dinners a week at Red Lobster for his birthday. And he was fine.
Yeah.
Now he's older.
Yeah.
So you would think it would be easier.
No.
But now Meep's not here.
Right.
And so now he's like, well, it's not the same.
Yeah. I want to be with you
Now
guys.
he's like, well, now you're leaving me. As
Yeah.
before, it was like, okay, see ya.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, what's going on?
And now he's
so now
like
I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that because he stays with his grandpa, who is a lovely man.
Yes.
But he's not his Meep.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a totally different relationship dynamic.
Yes.
And Asher has a way about it. And
Yeah.
so not a way. A way.
Shut up. Yeah. I never felt guilty for leaving. I wanted him there, but I didn't feel the guilt like you had. And even to this day,
Yeah.
every single night when I travel, we FaceTime.
Yes.
But I feel guilty about everything else. If I say something wrong, if he, for some reason, because he wants to eat every freaking piece of food on my plate. And so if I happen to say no, then I would feel so guilty. Okay, here, you can have it. Or if he wants something and I say no, I struggle with the fact that when I was younger, I didn't have things.
Yeah.
And so I want to give him whatever he asks for. However, I don't want him to grow up to be the spoiled only child. I tell myself, no, don't give him everything that he wants. He needs to learn that he can't have everything and that whatever comes with that. So I go back and forth in my head on how to balance that.
Yeah.
And so I do feel guilty when I do say no, or when I yell at him, or if I get angry and I can't control myself, then I feel guilty. So I feel like everything I freaking do.
So you're not prepared for the level that you get. You know what I felt guilty about for the longest time? Not giving her a sibling.
Oh, really?
A what?
A sibling.
Yeah, I did feel bad for...
Yeah, I never had... I had zero
when
guilt
Asher
about
asked
that.
for a sibling, I felt bad, which is one of the factors on why we moved together here, so they could be together.
I had such guilt. The Disney cruise, I was riddled with it. Riddled with guilt because the way she would try to attach herself to other little girls so she could find playmates. So you could tell that and it's not that she didn't have playmates or she didn't have friends.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like there was something that she needed and I just didn't give it to her. And we tried for a number 2. Yeah. We just gave ourselves, at my age, we just sort of said, okay, well, we're going to try for another year. And if at that point it doesn't happen, then we're done.
Yeah.
But it still took me another year after that to reconcile with okay, she's not getting a sibling and letting go of the guilt and just adapting. Mm-hmm. But I was not prepared for the things I would feel guilty about.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel guilty? Besides now when we travel without Asher?
I think the most thing that I felt guilty was how angry I got at him for things.
Yeah.
That he was just doing little kid things.
Yeah.
But my impatience made me angry. So then I would be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then I would try to be extra nice to him.
But you guys have conversations, just like we have conversations with Darcy. And, we try to explain things and we apologize if my parents never apologized to me, not once. for yelling at me for any of the things that they did. You know, we try to have that conversation and say, look, I shouldn't have yelled at you.
Right.
Yeah.
I was not able to control my temper. That wasn't, you know, I
Yeah.
will work on it. I will do better, but I also need you to do X, Y, and
Right.
Z.
Exactly.
And then we will move forward. So we do try to have a lot of those kind, and you guys do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I go back and forth with I'm the parent. I don't have to explain. At least that was how I was raised. I don't have to explain myself. You just need to do what I'm saying. But at the
Yes.
same time, I want him to understand. There is a point where he keeps trying,
push
keeps
it
trying,
and
keeps,
push it
and
and
I'm
push
like,
it.
okay, we're getting nowhere. So you will just do what I say now, and that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're telling me right now. I'm the adult. You're the child. You're going to do what I say.
Because they're going to test you. They try to push those boundaries. Darcy does too, you know, or she'll ask for something 10 times and I'll be like, we're done.
Yeah.
I have said no enough times.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no again. We're not talking about this again. And then sometimes I have to like really lay down a gauntlet, like, or we're never doing this again. And it's like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
They know when we're serious too,
Yeah.
right? They've sort of fielded it. You know what the minefield is or whatever you want to call it. And they know exactly like, okay, I've pushed her too far.
Yeah.
But to your point, I also want her to have a voice. Because I didn't have one. I wasn't allowed. Or the occasions I was given a voice, it was then later used against me.
Right.
So I didn't do it. But I do want to be able to have her, to have that comfort to come to me, especially as they enter their teenage years. I want them to be able to come and say, hey, this is going on with me. And I know it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And there are going to be things where they're going to go to their friends versus come to us.
Yeah.
But I want her to be comfortable. And we do have conversations around that. And even now when she spends the night at somebody's house, we have the rule that if you don't feel comfortable and you want me to pick you up, no questions asked, I will come get you.
Right.
Because I'm trying to build the relationship in the future that if she's in some situation and she needs me to come get her, she's comfortable enough for me to come get her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm raising a whole human being here,
Exactly.
and it's just so daunting some days.
Yeah. Right. It's a whole human that will go out there in the world and conduct themselves in a way, whatever way that might be. And
Yeah.
so my whole goal, which is why sometimes I'm hard on him, is because I don't want him to go out into the world and other people's perception of him is that he is not a good person. Before having a kid, like when I was in my 20s, we're cocky and stupid, and you see a kid yell something to their parent and you're like, oh, hell no, that shit
Yeah.
would not happen if that was my kid. And granted, 90% of the time that shit does not happen when it's my kid. But there are times where other people can view an interaction between him and I, and they're probably thinking, oh, what the fuck did that bitch just say to her?
Yeah.
And really, he could have been just joking. It could have been playing off of a joke he did earlier, or it could have been something so slight, and maybe I was having a bad day and I just let it go. It doesn't happen very often because I don't let a lot go. Shut up. But there are times where I'm like, if I was a third party looking in, I would have been, and I was my 25-year-old self, I've been like, oh,
Well, there's a
hell
point
no.
of where it's either you're constantly on them or you have to find the middle between, I'm just going to let everything go and I'm going to ride you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find where you find that comfortable middle. Like, okay, whatever this is right here, it's not that bad. I'm going to let that one go because the past 4 other ones I have not let go. Because otherwise you were just, and sometimes it did feel that way.
We were
And
always on him.
he would go through certain phases where I felt like it was just constant.
Correcting him.
And it was just like, I just feel like we're always on him. It has let up.
Yes.
And it's not a constant now. And there's a little more, you can have a little more conversation and he understands.
Yeah.
We have a boy.
Yes.
You have a girl. Do you think your parenting style would have been different had you had a boy?
Well, there are certain things I have to take into consideration because I have a girl. I tried very much to teach her to say no, where I had to say yes to everything as a girl. right? So I don't want her to grow up to be a people pleaser or to accept things just because. Like if you're not comfortable with a hug, let's just say that for example.
Yeah.
I did not force her to hug people if she did not want to hug them.
But I don't think that's a girl or boy situation.
No, but I think as women in society, we are conditioned a certain way. And that starts very young. That is how I view it. I could be wrong, but I know there's a lot of people who also agree with me. From a societal perspective, you're also getting fed all these other things. So I want to ensure certain things. Aside from things that I think matter for her having a voice as a girl and being able to say no and have autonomy over her body, those kinds of things, it's hard to say because of the personality, right? You could have had another kid and it could have been a boy and he'd be completely different than Asher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think you would have been softer if you had had a girl than if you had had a boy?
I don't think so. Because when I like when I talk to Darcy and I talk to the other little one, I speak just like I speak now. And I more censor myself because they're not my own child versus their gender.
So I wonder how you would handle the whole like girl drama, because there's a whole other ecosystem with girls about getting upset about things where Asher just doesn't, the boys don't want to sit with him or whatever. He's just like, cool. And the girls have a whole different reaction or perspective on how they handle stuff like that.
Because I really, really, really wanted a girl.
I know.
Really bad. And so, and I'm like, I just wanted a girl. I don't know why, but I didn't associate the difference. Like, so when you say Darcy was easy when she was younger, I'm just thinking she's going to be harder when she's older. So Asher was hard when he was little, and hopefully I'm hoping he's going to be easier when he's older. But it's
you
not
never know.
Right. You never know. And I don't think that's associated with gender. But what I did associate with gender was when Asher was in either kindergarten or first grade, and I went to the end of the year party, and all the boys were there and the girls were there, but then they kind of went off into the boys and the girls were just devastated, crying their eyes out. And I'm just looking like, is this really happening? And there were other mothers there and the teacher and they're just crying. They're like, I'm going to miss you so much this summer. We're not going to be together. And they were hugging and I just love you. And the boys were just hanging out doing stupid shit. They were just playing, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking, and I looked at the teacher and I said, I don't know how you do this every day. She goes, you don't even know the half of it. And I said, well, bless you, because I could not. And I just couldn't do it. But in that moment, I realized the difference between having a little boy and having a little girl. Yeah, I don't think I would have treated a daughter differently than a son. However, the older I get, the more, when I was younger, there was ways that I acted that I thought that a woman should act. Mm-hmm. And being a female. And then I would let things go that dudes did just because I thought
that's just what dudes
they do.
Yeah.
And so the older I get, the more I think, well, you are an asshole. Why did you allow, but it was society, and I understand that's just how it was, whatever. But I often, when we're watching a TV show, or if I see a dude speak to a girl a certain way, or if I see a girl that's upset about something, anything, I will say, Asher, don't be a dick. Don't be that guy. Care about the situation. If she says no, she means no from the very first time.
Right.
If you feel like she's uncomfortable, you walk away. You do not engage in that situation. Do not try to convince her. Don't call her a name because she doesn't want to do something. Don't smack her in the butt. Don't speak to her. Like, I'm conscious of making sure that, again, he grows up to be a good person. So I am conscious of those types of situations, and that's how I treat him differently. But it's only because he's a dude, and just like you say those things to Darcy because she's a girl.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessary. I mean, it's just.
Well, you're trying to be realistic. You're trying to give them the tools.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have the tools, you'll have you hear about things that just happen. And, or even like I was hearing this guy retelling something that happened where a girl was getting taken advantage and he just didn't know.
Do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, but he didn't. You know, when
Oh.
he like froze up in the situation, it was something he just never expected to happen. And so he didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
And so unless you prepare kids for those types of situations, they're not going to know.
Right.
They're not.
Yeah.
Because once you're thrown into something that's kind of heavy like that,
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, when you're a kid and you see that happening, you don't know how to process that. And you think, I see that happening. I know that it's wrong, but what do I do? Do I step in? And then what's going to happen to me if I do step in? Or is that my friend? Are they going to make fun of me? Are they going to beat me up? Because there are grown adults who face situations like that. And they're like, I see something happening and I knew that I should have stopped it, but I didn't. And then they afterwards are like, why didn't I stop that? And you just freeze in that moment. And that's as an adult. So imagine when you're a teenager and you're confused and, you know, it's a little more difficult for you to just step in at that moment.
Yeah, so I tried it. Like, there's been conversations where Asher will say, well, this new kid or this somebody. And I said, well, in the future, if something happens and you feel like it's not right, I would really want you to say something. He's like, yeah, but I don't want people to make fun of me. I just want to, I'm just not going to say anything. And I said, yes, but what if you were that person? And wouldn't it make you feel good if somebody stood up for you? And he's like, yes. So I
don't think he has that confidence yet.
He doesn't
do that yet.
But he's at least thinking about it. And so as long as I can plant the seed.
Exactly.
And the more confidence he builds, hopefully he will. And so every morning before he goes to school, I say, goodbye. I love you. Be a good human. Every single mother frickin' day, I tell him, be a good human. And so if he comes home every night, we debrief, we have dinner together, we do our thing, we say, what's going on in your day? And he'll tell me, oh, this happened to so-and-so. And I'm like, okay, well, what did you say? And sometimes he'll say, I didn't say anything, you know, because he's embarrassed. And then there will be times where he's like, well, you know what? I was a good human today, and this is what I did. And so he's thinking about it. It's in his brain, and I'm just hoping and wishing when he's an adult that it will actually come to fruition. And so that's the only thing. And again, not that that's different. It's just that's how I would tell him to act, especially around women, that he's not going to end up being a dick. Like
it's different. But I think it's a good practice, even if it's hypothetical, to have those conversations, to present them with those options and say, well, to work through the scenarios, even if they never encounter it, maybe even if they still freeze, you've sort of prepared them. Hey, this might happen.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to want to do. Let's hope you can get there. But I've been thrown into situations that, you know, at a very young age that I was never prepared for, and that I would have appreciated somebody saying, hey, if this happens, this is what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Because then I could have gone back and said, okay, this is what I need to do. Because when I've known, I've done those things.
Right.
Like you, I try to make sure that Darcy knows that she has those options, that she can always do this X, Y, and Z, or she can always come to me. She can always say no. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah. And so do you think you would have treated a daughter differently? I think you would have even less patience.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want a girl. I don't want to deal with any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know. You could have gotten
the same girl like you.
Yeah.
It's true, I guess.
And that probably would have been its own
but I
set of aggravation, right?
As a little girl,
you were very girly.
I was in the dresses and doing all the crap. So,
dancing and...
Yeah, it wasn't until I was probably like maybe 11 or 12 where I kind of took a turn to less of that. But definitely the high school part of it, I don't think I would be able to tolerate that. If she was one of those emotional whatever, I'd be like, oh God, I don't know if I can.
And then it's hard because everybody has a different experience. Like, yes, I had a lot of emotions, but like in our friend group, it wasn't like that. We didn't have like a lot of drama.
Yeah, me
in our
either.
friend group. We were just friends. We hung out. We had fun. We were there for each other. And then we went home, and it was what it was. There wasn't
I
this
didn't
whole
either.
other crap.
But I did want.
But there were groups that had
Yeah.
a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And we were like, holy crap.
Yeah. But I most of my drama was around boys.
Well, yeah.
I really wanted a boyfriend, and in my brain, I didn't get my first boyfriend until I was like 15. In my brain, that was a very long time. And I felt like all my friends had boyfriends. And I liked boys, and they just didn't like me back. Oh, fuckers. But the minute that I did get a boyfriend, I felt like all these boys came out of the woodworks. It was weird.
It was raining men.
Yes, it was raining men at that point. Once I had a boyfriend, then I was like, okay.
I had the one, and then I was like, yeah, I don't want that. That's how that I'm like, he requires too much of my time. There were other boys that I liked more.
Yeah.
But this just sort of like grew into a thing. But then he was like, well, I want to walk to school with you. I want us to spend recess, or break together.
Yeah.
I want to walk you home. And I'm like, listen, I got friends. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
I'm not spending 24/7 with you. We're like 15 here.
Yeah. So then I think about what kind of, so obviously both of our kids are 12 and 13. So they're about to hit the full on teenage years. And I think just earlier today, I told you, our kids are soon going to be gone. They're going to be adults. And so I'm curious how I'm going to feel when Asher goes off to college or just leaves me.
Yes, leaves you.
He's going to leave me because I don't want him to leave me. And then how I'm going to be as an adult parent. Yeah, an adult mother. How that's going to
It'll be
look.
interesting to see when he brings boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever
Whomever.
he ends up doing, how you are with those people.
You should be fine.
I think
But
I'll
we'll
be
see.
fine. There are
If
some
not, listen,
people.
intervention. Okay.
Yeah, please do, yeah.
We'll put you in the room and be like, you can't be this way.
Yeah.
You're
I
not-
don't
you're
think
not
I'm going to be
I
this
don't
way
think
because
so.
I'm usually pretty open and like even when your sister or your sisters bring boys around or their friends and
Yes, but
I don't
this is-
have a.
This is
This will
your
be a little
son.
different. Yes.
You're right.
Now he's bringing some trollop or some dude who's looking all fruity or whatever. Something about him is a little,
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
So I wonder how.
He's a little sus.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that I'll be whatever, but at the same time, I feel like I will have a hard time holding my tongue if I see something.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And then if this is the love of Asher's life at this moment, and now you are, then it's that could be a whole scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's hard to say. We're going to find out. Not too long from now.
I know. Yep. As of right now, Asher doesn't have not every day, but often days when we have our dinners.
Yeah, we
In
asked
the
him.
evening, I'll say, any ladies? Nope. Any dudes? Nope. Who knows? It'll be interesting. And then it'll be interesting his dynamic with us. Will he be independent or will he look to us to fix all the things? And, I get those.
Well, he's already he likes to do it himself
he
kind of
does,
person.
yeah. But I see those videos again, whatever, on the socials, and it'll be a kid that's like 21, 22, and it'll say something like, I don't need my mom, she doesn't do this, and then all of a sudden they're calling the doctor. Wait, I don't know how to make an appointment. I gotta make an appointment. It's for me. I gotta make my own appointment. And so I wonder if Asher's gonna be like that.
I don't think so because you're not letting him be like that now. He cooks his own dinner every now and then now as it is. I mean, Darcy does too. He could do his own laundry at this point.
Yeah.
Darcy could too. I don't make her do it that often, but yes, she knows how.
Yeah.
I want to make sure she knows how to do all these things. We haven't gotten to the banking and the checking, but yeah, because we take it for granted. We really do. That
That
at
we
some
just
point
know.
they're going to pick that up.
Yeah. And they
it's like,
don't
no,
without
they
teaching
need
them.
to be taught. You used to have a class that taught you all of that to some extent, and a lot of that stuff's going away. So
Yeah.
you have to make sure that those things still happen. But I don't see that happening because he's pretty self-sufficient. I think Darcy will try to get me to do it for her, but she'll be self-sufficient too before she has to go. She's not going to be the one girl at college that doesn't know how to do laundry.
Did you do your own laundry? Nope.
Do you remember when we moved in with my mother? She did both of our laundry. Oh, you see that eye roll.
But I already knew how to do my laundry. So that was just very nice of her to do that.
I knew how to do it because she would make me sometimes put stuff in, but she did the majority of the laundry. So I knew how it worked. I
Did
just
you, though?
very rarely had to do it.
And cooking, you didn't cook either.
Well, yeah, I don't, yeah. And I still don't.
didn't?
Well, see, but it's weird because you would think like my mom would have, but my mom didn't because she was a stay-at-home. She did everything for us until she didn't. And then we were all like,
What the hell?
holy shit.
My mother didn't cook because we lived with my grandmother. She didn't have to cook until we moved out.
Yeah.
She got with Charlie. And then it was
Oh,
hell on earth of whatever half-cooked item was on our plate. I mean, it was...
The horror, Tara. You had to eat that?
Listen, Susanna, I think it was a chicken,
Okay.
but it was very pale and it was swimming in, it looked like chicken blood.
Oh.
And Charlie was like, and this is when my mother was in the middle of going through the PMS.
Mm-hmm.
So she would make this horrendous food and it was unedible. I'm pretty sure that whatever it was not cooked thoroughly. And then she would be so angry that she made this dinner and now you're not eating the salmonella that she's trying to feed you. So there was no learning even at that point because...
Yes, but by the time I met you, she was making all the dinners.
She was making dinners, but it was kind of like me. There was a cycle of dinners.
Yeah.
It didn't expand very far. And then she made them, so I didn't have to make them either.
That's true. So
Okay.
here we are, 12, 13 years later. Parents, whether we like it or not.
Well, now it's a lifetime commitment.
And now
You're
not
done.
exactly how we thought. But actually,
Oh.
I've always been, for lack of a better word, a mother type person. I've always taken care of, even though I might be harsh or brash or whatever you want to call it. I still am a take care of her.
I understand that. And I know that. That's why I thought when it was your own child that you would take care of him in a much nicer, softer manner.
Well, that was your mistake.
Yeah, that was your
Apparently
mistake.
it was my mistake.
Although, at work, I'm very fluffy.
I know. And when I met you, you were very emotional and gushy. And now she's a stone.
I am not. You're an ass.
I think the takeaway, though, is that we recognize. And so you guys fill in the gaps for each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mark and I do the same thing. And if I'm not having a good day, he'll go in and he'll step in and take over. And if he's not having a good day, I will deal with her. And I think that's what, as, parents, that's what you should do for each other. That you recognize that, hey, that's not his strong suit. So I'll do this and then I'll push him toward what is his strong suit. And then we try to balance each other out.
All right. Well, that's what we got for you today. Feel free to comment or like and share with your friends. That's all I got for you, Tutti Fruities. Peace out.
Adios.
Hi.
Bye.